You know what I mean. Even when you don't get along with all of your family, if you need them, they will do for you. They may grimace a bit, but they will not leave you in the cold. So we're safe at home, safe from privations and from dangers. The greatest fortunes made in early America were family fortunes. The Astor family got to be wealthy because they kept all their money at home and made everybody live around the money. We all remember watching Dallas years ago, and that was 3 or 4 generations living under one roof. Immensely dysfunctional, but filthy rich. So we know the power of home to make us safe, at least in a material and a physical sense. But of course, safety is more than just money and 4 walls, although that is important. It's also the people who will take care of us and stand between us and threats. How many of us as older siblings have had to go to in defense of a threatened younger sibling? And we know that mom and dad will be there if we need them to be. And when they're gone, we miss them in their protective role. And I want to say this also with the knowledge that home is not only a safe enclosure, it can act like a prison too. You know that. If you're a grown-up and you go home to visit your mom and dad, how long does it take you to become 12 again? You can number it in minutes, I'll bet. And they help you do it too. And of course, now that we have grown children, they come home and I watch them do it, and I wonder, how am I encouraging them to be juvenile? I must be me too. Many of us can revert really fast, as I said, and old fights and conflicts will roar back to life, and suddenly we remember why we don't live at home anymore. Safety comes with a price. Again, all you have to do is look at that dysfunctional family in Dallas to realize it's a cost-benefit analysis we have to perform. So there is the importance of safety, but sometimes even when you're at home and safe, you may not feel like you belong, if you know what I mean, that you're at home. Because belonging is not a place. It's not even a group of people. Belonging is different. It is where you can be exactly who you are, and no one will say you have to be anything other than who you are. That's why I took the title from West Side Story, There's a Place for Us. These are 2 people who don't belong anywhere because they are interculturally connected, the Hispanic Maria and the white Tony, and they sing plaintively of there's a place for us. But of course, if you know the story, which is Romeo and Juliet, so you know the story, there isn't a place for them. There is no place they can go. In fact, they never get to that place. That's what the prophets and seers that I mentioned earlier have been trying to teach us. There is no safe place where you can belong at the same time, because we do not belong to a certain place or a certain group. We really don't. Yes, there are places that we know and love because of their memories and people who will protect us and help us, but we don't belong to them in the sense that they own us or we own them back, because none of them are the place we belong, because we are not serfs tied to this plantation. We are not servants of our families, no matter how great they are, because this is what bondage means, to be tied to something whether you want to or not. Freedom, though, does not mean not belonging to anyone. It means something else. And there's why I want to tell you why I go traveling. Part of the reason I like to travel is because you see new places, right? But the best part about traveling is when you come back, you not only remember it, but now you've been there. And what's really fun is when you go back, you can say, I've been here before. I know where I am. And if you had to take a friend along, say, here, let me show you where this is. And my point here is that once you visit a place or meet a person, they're part of you, right? I know people here in this town, it's very dear. They say, Grand Rapids is the best place to live on earth. Wrong. It's not. It's not a bad place. It's a great place. But if there was the greatest place to live on earth, there'd be a whole lot more people here, don't you think? Why aren't they here? Because guess what? Poughkeepsie is a great place to live. So is Perugia. So is Peru. Every place belongs. We all belong to our places. My point here is that we think we're strangers except when we're at home. And I'm here to tell you that we're all strangers and at home everywhere we are. You know you're a stranger at home when you see them and say, wow, this is not my home anymore. But we also know we're not strangers when we see something we recognize even in a distant place, like a member of our church down in Kalamazoo, and suddenly I'm connected there in a way that I've never been before. I want to tell you, and this is my message this morning, that there is no place for you because every place is where you belong. We all belong everywhere. I was telling the early worship service, who belongs to this church? And we talked about people who want to belong and people who come here. And I said, but who belongs to this church? Is there anyone who doesn't belong to this church? And we ultimately reached the conclusion that everyone belongs to this church, whether they come here or not. And I said, yeah, that's right. We want everyone to feel they can belong here. And that is part of my message to you throughout my ministry, is everyone who comes around here belongs here, whether they join us as a member or not, whether they believe like us or not. This is a house of prayer for all people. It's not just a phrase. It means everyone should feel like they belong here. And that does happen. How many of you have a story, if you've been here for years? This is your story of conversion, by the way, and I've heard it over and over. I didn't really feel I could be myself until I got to Fountain Street Church. Remember, that's what home is. The place where you can be you. And no wonder you feel so fond about it, because you can just be yourself. You can sprawl on your untidy bed with fresh malice dancing in your head as much as you like. Because you can be you. My point here is that we should try to be a place where anyone, no matter who they are, could come in here and think, I belong here.